I have said before that William Lane Craig and other Christians who engage in debates with atheists do not do so in good faith. To debate in good faith, you have to be open to be convinced that your opponent may be correct. In fact, I don't believe that Craig or any other apologist is engaging in debate at all. They are simply engaging in evangelism and trying to pass it off as debate. And if you don't believe me, here's proof.
But the fact is, it wouldn't have mattered what in short, it wouldn't have mattered what he had said, your faith would have remained intact.
Yes.
Right. So what's the point of the argument then?
Well, it's not, Lewis and I aren't here tonight to try to persuade each other. We're here to try to make this available for the public, and I think there are people out there who are searching and trying to find the meaning and purpose of life in the same way that I was, and it's the public that we're interested in.
That's a clip from a debate that Craig had with Lewis Wolpert, in which he essentially admits that he is not going to be convinced that atheism is true no matter what is presented to him. Wolpert, however, said this.
If Bill had succeeded in demolishing your argument, is it conceivable that at the end of the evening you said, yeah, maybe you got a point, I'll go home, I'll do what you said, I'll read that New Testament again, I'll study the life of Jesus and the resurrection of Jesus, and who knows, tomorrow I might be at your church.
No argument would have mattered, but certain events could change my mind. A few miracles would certainly make me reconsider.
Wolpert is open to evidence. Craig is not. Craig says that his feeling of the presence of the Holy Spirit gives him a way of being convinced that God exists wholly apart from what the evidence may say. This is a way of knowing God that he calls properly basic.
And my view here is that the way in which I know Christianity is true is first and foremost on the basis of the witness of the Holy Spirit in my heart. And that this gives me a self-authenticating means of knowing that Christianity is true wholly apart from the evidence. And therefore, if in some historically contingent circumstances the evidence that I have available to me should turn against Christianity, I don't think that that controverts the witness of the Holy Spirit.
He feels that evidence should not controvert his spooky feeling that there is a ghost in the sky who loves him. But this poses a problem. If you also have an intuition of the truth of something similar to what Craig describes, then you can justify pretty much any belief. What if somebody of another religion takes the same position? What if a Muslim has the same feeling that his belief in the Quran is intuitively correct, and that this confirms its truth wholly apart from the evidence? How do you argue against that?
The Muslim might claim to have an experience of God that is self-authenticating, and therefore he knows Allah is the true God. Or the Mormon says he has a burning in the bosom when he reads the Book of Mormon, and therefore he knows that Mormon polytheism is true. And I think what's important to see is that false claims to properly basic beliefs doesn't do anything to invalidate the truth of a true claim to a properly basic belief.
That's not the point. The point is, how do you tell the difference between true properly basic beliefs and beliefs that just look like true properly basic beliefs?
Now, what that would mean, though, if you're confronted with a person like this, is you need to try to find some way to convince that other person that, in fact, his belief is not properly basic, and that he is kidding himself, or he's fooled. And, of course, he'll try to convince you of the same thing. And so what you'll try to do is find some common ground on which you can argue, like these arguments and evidence that I've given tonight.
Well, wait a minute. If you can dismiss evidence that's contrary to your beliefs as historically contingent and something that should not take precedent over your feeling of the Holy Spirit, then why can't a Muslim or a Mormon say the same thing about his beliefs? If you can dismiss evidence as historically contingent, why can't anybody else?
Because this person is just having a psychological experience rather than a genuine experience of God's self-authenticating Spirit, that will crack under the weight of the evidence, and he will change his mind. Now, he's, of course, hoping that the same will happen to you, but if you do have a genuine veridical experience of God, then that shouldn't happen with you, and you may be able to win that other person to your point of view.
It seems like what Craig is saying here is that people of other religions can't do what he is doing because only Christianity makes you dense enough to ignore as much evidence as he does.